Good evening and welcome to another episode of What Now Irishman. My conversation partner today is a very interesting guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting him once and spoke to him online a few times. A lot of people will know him as Terry K, but he's also known as Mr. Kirk Loco. Kirk, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. I'm
And
just
thank
going to
you
throw
for
the
inviting me.
question straight at you because this is how we do it. What now, Irishman?
Oh, God knows. You asked me. Yeah, or you tell me, should I say? It's a bit of a mess all on our side with the ride at the moment, I feel. I've done a video there not too long ago, and I think you chimed in on it, saying that we're quite fragmented. There's a lot of disagreements, and it's sad to see. And I was in court yesterday with my legal situation, and I happened to meet quite a few prominent nationalists, Phil Dwyer, Ross Lahive, Tom McDonnell, and John Wilson. And yeah, we were all kind of voicing, different sentiments, how sad and frustrating and disappointing it is to see all the different spats going on. And I don't want to be naming anybody or anything like that. And, people coming back at me. I've always said from day one, I don't want to be getting into anything like that. But sometimes it does get the better of you, and you feel like you have to respond to certain things. I always said there's no point washing dirty laundry out in public. But unfortunately, you do have to kind of stand your ground every now and again. Um, yeah. What next? I'm not sure. Like if an election was called, tomorrow, next week, like we're not really in any shape to go into that, are we? And it's very disheartening. We need a legitimate voting alternative somewhere, and a party to get behind. Now, I know there is the Nationalist Party, and I had a bit of backwards and forwards with one of the members there the last few days, and you know, I do support a lot of their policies. It's not to say that I don't support them. I think they've got some fantastic members. I've always said I'm a big fan of the head of that party, Patrick Quinlan. He's done some fantastic work. He's a fantastic speaker. He really is. You can tell just how much it means to him. He really means well. And they're a young, energetic, party that have a future there, all right. Does it capture the minds of your Middle Ireland typical voter? I'm not sure. Anything that seems to have the words, Ireland, Irish era, nationalist in it, you know, I think they just see it as the boogeyman, and they don't want to be seen associated with it. A lot of people, I think we are turning, we're moving the Overton window, and you can see a lot more people feeling emboldened to speak out, and things that have been said by only a very, very small group of people, the likes of Gavin Pepper, Philip Dwyer, Fergus, Mick O'Keefe. If you go back 3, 4, or 5 years ago, it's now being said by everybody. You go into any post on Facebook, and it's just a tsunami of everybody essentially saying the same thing. I think the fatigue has really set in, and I don't mean black fatigue. I just mean with the fatigue of the whole political setup. I
Listen,
think it's
hey, black fatigue is real. Okay, it's real. Just it is,
um,
it's a good meme.
it's yeah, like you know, I'll be honest. I haven't read through all of the Nationalist Party, their entire mandate. Now, I would believe, obviously they would, and I would agree with this part that the native citizens of Ireland should be put first. That should be common sense for every single country, not just
Mhm.
Ireland. Should be the same in England, in Scotland, in Wales, Spain, Italy, Germany. That's the way I look at it. But when you get into a situation then when you're talking about, mass deportations and doing it via race, ethnicity, nationality, that's where you get stumbling blocks. And it's very hard to portray that and speak about that online. You need to do something like this. And
So let's
look,
go let's go back a little
yeah,
bit. We'll go back a little bit because
sure,
we're going to actually delve into this a
of
bit.
course.
So, do you still believe in uh, the constitution, democracy, and the ability to turn the ship, so to speak, through the ballot box? Would you still be of that mind 100%?
100%? No, probably not. I think we're in big, big trouble here in Ireland. We really are. It just feels it's so captured. You look at other countries because of their size, they do seem to have a way out of it. And something as really, really simple as finding somebody, a prominent figure that has wealth and that will take that risk and step up and properly fund, a centre right, leaning party that will capture the minds of your average voter. And we don't even have that. Like you have to. There's no point putting the cart before the horse. We have to find somebody that can, push us right out there into the mainstream and has that ability. And there are one or two people that I have in mind, a year or two back, but what's the IT guy's name, the billionaire in California that's doing the murals, the Ukrainian woman that was stabbed on the metro.
I
He has
can't think of the name. Yeah, I know you're
it's
talking
own
about. Yeah.
something, I think it is,
Mm.
yeah. And I actually reached out to him in a DM. He sent me a DM. I don't want to put him on spot. I don't want people to spam him, but I did, try to suss it out with him. He sent me a DM or two, and when I sent him one asking would he be interested in the state of political affairs in Ireland, I never got a response back from him. Unfortunately, I don't even know if he ever saw it. I must actually go back and check. But yeah, we feel very captured here in Ireland. It's very difficult. Like you're talking the political structure, the judiciary, the media, education, all of that. And because of our size, and we are so isolated, it's so incredibly easy for the powers that be to isolate us. We're really, really, really isolated. We do rely often, on foreign journalists coming in here. Like we have Ezra Levant coming in, he's helping me. We have Michael Murphy over in the UK. I think he's with the Guardian. The only outlet that we can really seem to rely on is Grit, and they're very small, and they rely on subscriber fees and donations. And outside of that, it's very, very difficult. We're literally in an information war where people are relying on me, and then I'm stuck in this trap. Like people like me, citizen journalists, if you want to call us, Philip Wire, or whoever it might be, we're really restrained. We have to rely on the mainstream media, or you get your neck in the noose like I have, and they start dragging you through the courts and using lawfare. And it's very, very difficult. We are really stuck in a
It
bit of
is
a spot.
strange because there is no. You can argue that the political solution, all of the micro parties. So I put it out publicly. As far as I'm concerned, the National Party are last man standing. Ireland First is caught up in the
Mm,
ELC. IFP is caught up with the ELC. There's nothing really else left. AJ is doing his thing with the Irish people, but there's not. That's not. We'll say it's kind of in the same boat. It's a bit of a dead duck. Although AJ does great personal work, it's the same with the media. There's so many people creating such great content,
mm,
but you can't get all those people in the room together to sit down and have a chat. And some of it is because, and this is a reality, some people have monetized their accounts and they're protecting that, and good for them, because if you can make a living out of it, fair play to you.
mm,
And they don't want to share it, or they don't want to, or they don't want to lose it. Um, there's there is potential there. There's enough talented people to actually have a 24/7 news channel in Ireland. It would obviously be only online. You could do radio as well, but nobody seems to be willing to. We say the content creators don't seem to be willing to sit in a room together, so to speak, and hash out a deal or an agreement. Or it's very similar to the political spectrum. Certain people don't want to sit in a room with other people. We are very clannish. It's that this is what the Irish are. So
Yeah.
I do understand it, but and I hate saying it. I hate saying this phrase, but for the greater good, you would imagine
Mm.
that everybody would put their differences aside, take all emotion out of it, take all finances out of it, take everything out of it, and just go, okay, this is what we have to do because it is for the betterment of our people. Why do you think certain individuals are reluctant to do that, so to speak?
Well, as you say, there's a very strong element of tribalism there. So one element, as you mentioned there is the financial side. With monetization on their accounts. Okay, but like when we were having this discussion with the Nationalist Party member, myself and the Nationalist Party member, they seem to be putting the cart before the horse. What we really genuinely need is somebody that has that larger than life persona. Now you look at what's happening in America and the UK, and you've got somebody like Trump. The guy's just huge. He walks into a room and he commands presence. You've got the UK, you've got Farage. He has that presence about him. Rupert Lowe, he has that about him as well. It's strong. There's an aura about him. We don't seem to have that with anybody in Ireland on our side at the moment that will have the wealth, that will have the persona, and just push through bulletproof completely. And it's very simple little things. Like I look at it like with Rupert Lowe. He just that great speech that he gave about mass deportations and why we couldn't get rid of certain individuals in the UK. He just kept on saying, "I don't care. I
Hmm.
don't care. I don't care." You need somebody like that, that has that aura, that character that can bring cameras, bring the legacy media to them and just walk through it. And even if we are relying on social media, you know, and we don't have that national TV station, that they feel they need to go to that person and to get it. Now, the closest that we've kind of seen to something like that is the Burke family. It's not somebody who you would expect the mainstream media to be shown because, like, you look at all these violent incidents and whatever else, they seem to be ramming the Burke family down our throat across mainstream media. Like, we've seen it again in the last few days now that he's been officially dismissed. I know they're a very, I don't know what word I'd use here, unusual family, or they're controversial. Let's just say, whether you agree with him or not, I really respect what he's done. I really genuinely do. Fair play to him. Anybody that stands up in their beliefs like the way he has and the rest of his family, I've only got nothing but respect for them.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm not religious, yeah, and I'm not religious myself, but anybody that's doing what he's doing, I really admire it. I genuinely do. Now, did he do everything right? Are he doing things by the book? And was he right to keep on going outside the school? You can argue about all these different things, the semantics of it, but it comes down to he's a man of principle and he's refusing to budge, and that's what you need. We need somebody like that that will just plow through, that has that persona, and let's try and get that kind of persona and get them all into a room. And yeah, it's very difficult to get these people into a room and then getting them to agree somewhat. Like as you said, let's just say if we had a 24/7 channel, or even if it started as a 12-hour channel, you could give certain spots to say like Michael McCarthy, he could do his thing on there, leave him do his own thing. It'd be kind of like a Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has his contract at UFC. Nobody's touching the Spotify podcast. Leave Mike to do his social media. He keeps his money coming in that way through Instagram, and he can go on and do his own thing then on a 24/7 nationals broadcast. There are intelligent people in this movement, insightful people that have got a lot to say, and there are variations of nationalism. Civic nationalism and ethno nationalism. You've got then like your conservatives and your
let's
MAGAs and all
let's
this
have
type of thing.
let's have a conversation about that, okay? Because this is the interesting one, and this is the one that's going to get both of us in trouble. But it'll be worth it.
I can't get in any more trouble at this stage, Martin.
The fact the
No.
fact that the fact that you people claim that there's only one route and it's ethno nationalism, and that's it. All I hear is you're the same as the left. You're stuck in an ideology. You can't budge from this. Now, they're perfectly entitled to that opinion. I lean not quite fully ethno-nationalist. I would be tribalist, i.e., my people come first. And if it benefits my people removing other people, then I have absolutely no problem with it. But like I said, everything for the benefit of my people, and I don't care. I genuinely don't care how far that has to go. I think we have to be very harsh for at least a decade to undo what has gone wrong. And is it going to mess people's lives up? Absolutely, it is. But for the betterment of my people, simple as. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Mm,
But am I going to say that every single person that isn't the same color as me has to leave the country? No, because that's number one, not achievable. Number two, it's
mm,
not necessarily beneficial because there are. It's like saying, well, there's a huge difference between a Christian Nigerian and a Muslim Nigerian. You know, there's I have my own hierarchy of
mm,
importance, and my people are at the top of that, and the enemies of my people are at the very, very bottom of that. There's a huge amount of Irish people in the bottom of that
mm,
list. There's,
mm,
if you're a card carrying communist, you're my enemy, and I don't want you in my country. You should even I don't care how Irish your blood is. If you
mm,
believe in communism, you shouldn't be in my country because I do not want that filth anywhere near my people because I know it's harmful. So we have this kind of split in nationalism, and you have some loud voices that go on the attack every time you don't walk that perfect line. Should these people just be ostracized and ignored and actually just left behind? And okay, we're not you just people. You go over there. You stay in your circle there, and we're not interacting with you anymore because you're of no benefit to the country. You can have your little rallies and your parties and all this kind of thing. Should we just look at a kind of a more centre right approach politically? Because I can sell that. I know how to sell that. I know how to sell that in the doors. And just actually, all the nonsense people just go, no, go over there and just cut all ties? Or is it a case of they are entitled to their opinion, they're entitled to their beliefs, and we should figure out a way to actually meet middle ground?
Um, I suppose it would depend on the scenario. Okay, so let's say if you've got one of these type of people at a nationalist protest, they start kicking off, and it's smearing the entire movement as a whole. We should be seen as saying we don't want that. People should be going up and confronting them and saying no, we don't want that. That's not to say that you know, that they're not entitled to their opinions, but we need to be smart about this. So, like when I was chatting to a number of the guys yesterday, certainly in public situations, we should not be airing our dirty laundry in public, getting into online spats and whatever else. I've had to mute or block certain people because we have to think of, and I hate saying the term like what you said, for the greater good. I know, for the actual movement. What is the point? You or I or two other people that are prominent, that have large platforms or are known that are using their name, their images out there, and getting into a public spat online back and forth. So unfortunately, you just have to say sometimes I'm hitting block because it's not worth it. It's not about me. And then they go and put up a post saying that, he's run away, he can't back up his ideology. It's not that at all. There's no point me getting into a back and forth, effing and blinding with somebody because it's bigger than me. I'm immaterial. I'll come and go, you'll come and go, but Ireland will still be here. And the Ireland in 10, 15 years' time is going to look a hell of a lot different if we don't get our crap together very, very, very soon. And what you said there in your definition of, nationalism, essentially tribalism, protecting the native population first, that should just be common sense. Like it
Hmm.
really should. Ireland for the Irish, like what is wrong with saying that? England for English, Spain for Spanish, whatever it might be. There's nothing wrong with saying that that's your country and you should come first in it. And the government should have a mandate across all public services, whether it's housing, healthcare, homeless services, education, whatever it might be. The native population comes first. There's incentives there to them for them to empower them, to make them feel like that they belong here, not just spiritually, but they have a better standard of life where they're born, where they spiritually feel that they are at home, and they should not be in this situation as we're in today. As we've seen it, like every single sector is essentially pushing the native population out of the country. There's nothing here for them at the moment. There's nothing at all. And we're mass importing in every sense for housing. It's overloading our healthcare system. We don't need them for HSC because I keep on pointing out over 80% of malpractice complaints the last 20 years are non-nationals. Like every sector is damaging the native population right now, and we need to do a rapid reversal on that. And I just don't know how we get it there because, as you say, we both agreed here, we can't even get these people to sit in a function room somewhere in this country and come to an agreement. You can have your opinion on ethnonat or sidnat or whatever, but for God's sake, for the love of God, we need to put differences aside. Like politics is about, you know, reaching across the divide. It's about give and take. And I said it loud and clear. I think it was in a tweet. I think it was this week. I said there's one person in this movement that is elected and is matter of fact getting things done, and that is Councillor Gavin Pepper. And that's the
Hmm.
truth of it. If anybody wants to be insulted by that and take issue with me, oh, look, it'd be par for the course at this stage. But it's a fact.
Hmm.
He got elected. He takes a photo, let's say, I'm just throwing it out there, say, with a soft names councillor. And then you got people on our side then saying, look, well, he's a traitor, he's a lefty, he's this, he's that, and the other. How do you expect him to keep the boxing club open, to get funding for, a playground or, keeping somebody in a house, whatever it might be? He has to do that. He has to get people on side. He can't just rely on Malky Stevenson and the two of them go to war because they're going to lose. They don't have
Hmm.
the numbers. So Gavin is intelligent enough that he has to reach out and he has to unfortunately go to these people in Sinn Féin, in Soc Dems, Labour, whatever it might be, and say, look, I just want my community to be better. If we can fix our communities, we can fix our counties. If we can fix our counties, we can fix the country. That's how it goes. Like we sit here and we complain. So just before you go on, we sit
Yeah.
here and we complain about the state of Ireland because we're being dictated to by bureaucrats in Brussels, and we have no control over it. 80%, I think, at least. I
Hmm.
read it's at least 80% of the legislation, whatever's happening in here in Ireland, is done from a huge office over in Brussels, and we have no say in that whatsoever. And yet, when somebody like we need to bring it back down to community grassroots level, and we talk about, and I've seen it from the really tribalistic minds. I won't name names. I've got a few countries in my head here, and they will talk about grassroots political systems are what's needed to fix this country. And you've got somebody like Gavin Pepper at council level in the community. You can pick up the phone from. He lives down the road from you, and he gets up out of his bed and he runs down to keep a family in the house. There was a video about a month ago of him,
Hmm.
and he had two options. I spoke to him that day. He said, "Look, I've got two options. I can get on the blower and I could have 1,000 nationalists go to that house and we could cause hell. It would be an absolute. It could have been an almighty scene. Do you know what I mean? But there's no point in doing that. He went down himself. He had a polite conversation and it worked. He got the job done. The woman stayed in her home, and working with the sheriff, the deputy, kept her in the house and reaching out then to other party members. This is how we get stuff done. It's not. That's just the reality of it.
So,
It's
do you
hard to
think
explain.
that? Yeah. Do you think that the issue, the reason we can't get a proper nationalist movement going, is because there's a lot of people who just don't understand how politics works. There's a lot of people who are able to talk online and be loud and be aggressive at protests and all the other malarkey that goes on. But uh, I've said this before. Do you think there's an IQ problem across the national spectrum? And I've no problem insulting people. I, I I I don't mean it to put people down. I'm just saying that specific people for specific jobs.
I do agree. I do. And again, I'll explain it, right? So, and I think you're going to agree. I hope you would agree with me, and I hope that anybody that's listening to this would agree with me. So realistically, a lot of the people, that's not to say all of it. So I get different versions of, nationalism. We have your civic and your ethno, and then we have your MAGAs and your right leaning conservative, your Christian conservatives as well. So there's different. Again, I hate using stereotypes, but if you were to think of your stereotypical possibly right leaning, conservative, they would probably be from middle class. They might be a bit more well to do, and more so maybe then with the nationalists. Again, most, not all. I'm not saying this is in a sweeping term on either side, but most, will be from working class areas. And that's not to have a dig at anybody in a working class area. I'm a working class guy. I grew up in one of the most socially deprived council estates in the 80s. Boy, Jesus. So that's not to denigrate anybody in that situation. I'm a working class lad. I'm as working class as it gets. So it's not to insult anybody there with that at all. And unfortunately, some of them are from working class areas. And again, this is not to denigrate anybody, to insult anybody. They might have dropped out of school at the upper age. They've taken on an apprenticeship, sparks, carpentry, whatever it might be. And they're admirable jobs. I have nothing but respect for them. And that's why I went out at the fuel protest, because I knew who was being affected. These are some of the hardest working people in the damn country, in any country. Brickies, plumbers, electricians. They get up at the crack of dawn, jump into their vans, and they work their backsides off. And it is hard, hard physical labor. But there is clearly an intelligence problem within this movement. You've got really loud, obnoxious people that if you don't agree with them, they instantly flip to violence, to aggression, to a confrontation. And they think an achievement is running somebody off like the national media or, shouting somebody down. No, that does not come across well to your average citizen. It just does not. Screaming and hurling abuse at somebody does not come across well. In politics, you have to do what we're doing. You have to sit down and you have to have a conversation. You have to come to a peaceful resolution. You get a little bit of what you want, I get a little bit of what I want, and we shake hands and say, that's fine, that's grand. We'll get a job done on this. And we just don't have that. We seem to have hotheads, we seem to have people that have, fiery tempers, that they're stuck into tribal mindset, and they
What
just go
I've
off on
noticed, what I've noticed, and again, it's coming from. So my background is management. Now I actually do physical labor. Now you know about what happened with
one.
me and work and stuff like that. So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I've paid my price, so I feel I'm entitled to speak like this and say these things because same as yourself. Okay, I'm not being dragged to the courts, but my entire life was taken away from me for
Mm,
stances I took during COVID and stances I took while running for election. Um, a lot of the people I've met across this movement in, we'll say, the higher echelons of it, have never managed people. They've never they were solo operators. There were people who worked alone, um, or in some cases didn't really have work at all. But they never managed teams. That was my background. I managed large teams, maybe 80 to 100 people. And my job all day, every day, was trying to find that happy balance to stop people who didn't like each other
mm,
killing each other, to ensure everybody got paid, to ensure all SOPs were followed, to ensure that
yeah.
everybody is safe work environment, etc., 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 etc. You know what I mean? So uh,
Mm,
I truly believe that your political leader needs to have huge management and problem solving experience. They have to have the ability to look at a human, understand what, look at management. People are categorized. You know what I mean? You've got your steady 80s and you've got this person, you've got that person, high interest person, low interest person, etc., etc. You need that skill set, or you need to be surrounded with somebody with that skill set that can manage this team for you. Um, so to speak, so your vice chair or something like that. But you need people management. I think that's something that's definitely missing across the spectrum, all the way from far right all the way to center. We don't have that one definitive voice that's very, very reasonable, that can sit down, bring people in a room, and actually everybody kind of goes, right, this guy's actually in charge. You know what I mean? We'll be on best behavior. It's almost a CEO role. And you just have to be,
mm,
I am the boss, and that's it. Like, love him or loathe him, and most people loathe him. Micheál Martin is an absolute dictator in Fianna Fáil. He is
Funny you
running.
mentioned him because I was just
He's
thinking of him there when you said that.
he's running that party with an iron fist,
Yeah.
and he's able to maintain his position. He's the worst Taoiseach this country has ever had. He's the
Mm.
most dangerous Taoiseach this country's ever had. And people don't give him enough credit for how dangerous he is. He is an extremely dangerous man.
Mm.
Far worse than people like to crap on Varadkar and Simon Harris. Micheál Martin is smarter than the two of them put together and far more dangerous in what his plans for the country are. But he rules that party with an iron fist. And that's how you have to be in politics, is basically, I'm the party leader. I'm in charge. We're doing it this way. You'll have your circle, your board, or whatever. You'll have your whip, and you just whip everybody into line and say, "This is the way we're going." I'll take your feedback, and I will choose to use it or not. But that is the kind of personality we need. I mean, somebody management experience, somebody who's managed people, managed company, managed finances, but is brutal in relation to you don't like it, go away.
Yeah, you look at what he's done with the presidential election. Wasn't it Brits that said that under no uncertain terms, basically, he threatens party members that if you did support another colleague or another candidate,
Yeah.
bye bye, you're gone, and that's it. Now, it's funny because you were saying then about, team management. We really do need that. It's about keeping all these different, personas, these different attitudes all in line and giving and taking and managing them to certain levels to keep them happy, to keep them satiated, to make them feel like they're making a difference, but at the same time that they're still checked in line,
Mm.
that you're not getting ahead of me, buddy. It's me, my time. But the big problem within the nationalist movements, from what I've seen, like each party, okay, fair enough. When you think of political parties, there is that leader. I think the big problem was that each of the political parties that we've had on the right side in recent years, it's become, whoever was head, it became their show. There was a lot of ego in it. Now they were professing that they wanted to change the country, but they were just sticking themselves in front of the camera constantly, constantly, constantly. And I felt it would have been better to show, the members of the party a bit more. Okay, it's your party, but this is the candidate for such and such area. This is the candidate for such and such area. Because by the time when it came around to an election, and you ask people, say like in Cavan or Wicklow where I am, wherever, they wouldn't have a clue who their candidate was for a right-leaning party because it's just been about whoever was the head of the party, and it was very, very difficult. You know, you're getting into a situation, like say a month out, 2 months out to an election, and you're just randomly seeing a photo of somebody, and you're expected to vote for them. You've no idea who they are. They just come in last minute, or if they didn't come in last minute, and they've been with the party for a while, but you just had no real idea who they were other than their social media platform. And we're fighting a losing battle as it is because we don't have that reach of a national media. It's very difficult to put somebody out there that's a candidate in a certain area. But they needed to do that a bit more, I felt. And the National Party are doing that a bit more, with some of their lower members, like Jan Mack and Redmond as well. It's not just, it doesn't feel like it's the Quinlan show. Yeah, I can name a few other party members there, off the top of my head, and there are other ones, of course, that I know kind of to see. I wouldn't know their name off the top of my head now, but yeah, it doesn't feel it's like the Quinlan show. It feels like it's about this party, this identity, and they are doing that well. They've dropped the ball one or two times, but they've done good things. I think they got Musk planning permission against it. They won that, so it didn't go ahead. But that kind of went underneath the radar. And, they could have really pushed that to the front. A little bit more advertising dollars.
Okay, so the other side of it is that it's quite smart not to do it. That take your little win. Your party gets
Mm,
that win in house, but publicly there's no big hullabaloo, and you're
mm,
keeping the lefties in bay. You're not giving people ammunition to attack you with, so to speak. You know, the racist word is so easy to throw around. You know what I mean?
But it's
That
not all meaning like most words
yeah,
today.
yeah,
So what they say,
exactly, yeah. But the
let's
the
shrug it
the,
off
the
now.
yeah, I've no problem in saying so. I'm still a member of
Mm,
Ireland First. Ireland First is tied up
yeah.
in the ELC. I'm a senior member in Ireland First. We have no idea what way the ELC will rule in relation to this. I've already said to all my colleagues, and I've said it publicly, that whatever way the ruling goes, I will take a week, and it'll take me that long to have a think about what's next. I've already
Mm,
publicly said the National Party are the last nationalist party standing. If you are a
mm,
diehard nationalist, that is where you should put your energy, your effort, your time, and your money. If you are, if you believe in nudge politics and you want something more palatable, join Independent Ireland en masse and nudge Independent Ireland into leaning more conservative. They're a rural party, so it won't be that hard to sell conservatism. You won't be able to sell nationalism, but you'll be able to sell conservative politics at the door for
mm,
a rural party. Um, like that's the two pragmatic options. I see people are trying to start more parties and new parties and stuff like that. It's done. It's done. It was tried. We tried the 5 or 6 different fractured micro parties. One survived. Nothing wrong with a bit of Darwinism. More power to them. Off with them. Encourage young
mm,
men to join. The the policy is solid. The National Party policy is solid. There's nothing wrong with it. I'd like to see it in depth a bit more.
mm,
I wouldn't join myself. I personally don't think they'd have me. I've got too much baggage. Now I could listen. I could be wrong. But again, like yourself, you know the crap that goes around in the backgrounds of the WhatsApp groups and all this nonsense.
yeah.
So there's some low IQ people out there who like to spread stories and rumors, and you just kind of sit back and go,
Mm,
God Almighty, it's worse than school.
mm,
I ignore it for the most part. But
yeah.
like if the ELC don't find in our favor, even if the ELC do find in our favor, I may think that Ireland First is something we should sit on, but put to bed for a while. Keep it in you know what I mean, as your ace in the hole should you ever want to run a candidate. But outside of that, National Party's there for staunch nationalists, and
Mm.
Independent Ireland then for if you want something softer that you can maybe able to nudge. I don't see any other political options at the minute, you know.
No, there really isn't. I'd just like to clarify something with the Nationalist Party. So I tweeted out saying that the Nationalist Party won't get into power to enact their mandate, and that wasn't me having a go at them. You know, I was just being realistic about it. I think you would
Mhm.
probably agree as well that your average voter just sees them as far right, and anything that has era or Ireland in it,
Mm.
they just run a mile from it. And nationalists, whatever national, they just feel terrified of it. It just is what it is. That's not me denigrating them. As I say,
Mm.
they've got some fantastic, young, talented, intelligent uh, candidates there, and they have got a future there. It's the only realistic, proper nationalist party that's left, that's survived, and still out there busting their hump. And Paddy Quinlan in his council meetings, the video that he puts up, like he's busting his hump. He's trying to get it done.
Yeah.
But again, I gave the analogy of Gavin Pepper and Malcolm Stevenson. You got two guys there. They're trying to push things forward. Can't get it done. And Quinlan's trying the same, and he's just basically trying to face down a red wall of communists dictating. They're like, no, you're a racist. You're this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
You're not getting stuff done.
They'll get
And
there.
that was the point I was making.
Yeah, but they'll get there.
Yeah.
They will get there. It's going to take time. I was on
Mm,
Spaces. I don't know, last year, the year before, and I said, guys, there's nothing happening for 15 years. It's going to take 15 years to build an opposition. You're not getting the government in 1 or 2 election cycles. Minimum 15
mm,
years, absolute slog. And I mean, annihilated. That line came out. We don't have time. We don't have time. We don't have time.
yeah, yeah.
Show me your plan. That's what I always say. Show me your plan. If you show me something better, I will get out of the way or I will work for you. Simple as that.
It's the same in the UK as well. Like, look at the damage that's been done over there, and they're in the same boat. Like Rupert Lowe with Restores come along, and like they're even saying over there as well, it's going to take what, like eight, nine,
You
ten
see
years to
what
get the ball
happened there.
rolling.
Yeah, what happened there is Farage started softening on Rupert Lowe is saying
Exactly.
now what Farage said 10 years ago. So one of two
Mm,
scenarios happened.
mm,
Farage got a sniff of power, and the powers that be said, Jesus, he might actually do something. And he got the gun put to his head, saying that
mm.
this is how it is, sunshine, which
Well, they
is
shut
a
all his
possibility.
finances down, didn't they? You
Yeah,
remember all that? He they shut his bank accounts. He had
yeah,
no money. He couldn't do anything, and then the policy started to soften conveniently.
mm,
And then you
yeah.
have Rupert Lowe coming along, and he's like, "I don't care." He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"I don't
Well,
care."
we'll look. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. But like I said, it's going to
Yeah.
be, it's going to be very very difficult. Look, a massive economic crash again, right?
Mm,
Um, National Party and Independent Ireland are going to skyrocket. Simple as that. The economy goes, and it's inevitable. It has to
mm,
happen. They can't keep it alive
mm,
for. I'm
mm.
sure you follow economics and finance and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
this is coming, and it is going to be terrible. Um, and it doesn't matter what way they what recovery they try and put in place. It's not going to work. Your euro is going to be worth nothing, and you're gonna we're heading to Mad Max. Like that's
We
a reality.
are, and it's going to be a very different type of recession here in Ireland because the demographic has changed. And
Mm,
how are these new to the parish? How are they going to react to it? Because we've been through boom and bust time and time again, and it was quite rapid. It would go through like what every what anywhere between the 8 years, roughly, kind
mm,
of at that time. Boom, bust, Celtic Tiger, this, that, and the other. And we're used to it, and it's going to be very different now because what 25, probably 30% of the population now is new to the parish, and yeah, how are they going to react? Are they all going to up and leave? Well, that's what a lot of us, on the right leaning nationalist side hope for.
mm,
Maybe they will. And like, there's the big news, like with Meta cutting, what is it, 700 jobs, I think it is, or something like
mhm.
200 jobs. I don't know exactly what it is. That's all this AI stuff, and I've seen it across the sector that I'm in. It is having a huge impact, and that was predicted anyway, what, 12, 18 months ago. We're starting to see it now. Um, yeah, so it is going to be a very interesting recession when it hits. I've already seen it as well. Very interesting. I didn't actually get to click into the link. It was in the Newtown WhatsApp chat. There's new builds still going up there. It's one of the fastest growing towns in Ireland. And the house prices didn't seem to make sense. They had like a three bed for 299,000. Now, three beds, generally in this climate, as we've seen, as we've got kind of used to it now, generally be almost double that at this point, And like they
You
surely couldn't
you have
be
to, yeah,
taking a
you
profit
have
on
to.
that.
No, you have to have it's what to get for the developer to get planning permission. You have to commit so many of the units to as
Or social or whatever. Affordable.
affordable
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll
There's a
they'll
few down the line on the row of houses from us here.
mm,
There's about four of them, and then there's another few on the other side. Then, so I don't think it was social or affordable. I don't think. I think it was just on. I don't think so. I must actually go back and check. But I've just been so busy, and they were all asking the same question: was it affordable? And they were saying, I don't think so. I think this is genuinely the set price for the 3 beds, 2 bath, whatever it was, 299. Um, okay, we'd probably think that is reasonable,
mm.
um, but in this climate, generally across the country, you wouldn't get it for that price anywhere else. For a 3 bed in this climate, we're looking
there
at about 500 grand for
there
that.
yeah, there is another phenomenon where a developer will build houses and through another company will actually buy them back from themselves,
Mm,
and then they go back on the market, and you're yeah. So it's a tax avoidance and gazumping tactic. So it could be that, but you legally have to sell
mm,
the house at that price. Be interesting. I'll tell you. You know what you should do?
mm,
Find the number of the house that's been sold for 299. 3 months time, see who's
yeah.
living there. Just see who's living there. Go up,
Well,
go. Yeah, knock on the door and say, "Welcome to the neighborhood. Here's some
look,
freshly made scones I made." Yeah.
our eyes don't deceive us. We can see it all around. I see it in the town that I'm in here, back in Wicklow, and if you drive around, at the end of the school, when they're leaving school, even schools, you can see the demographic has completely changed. Um, and what I've noticed as well in recent months, so I've walked the dog in the middle of the day, and as I'm going down to the beach, I'm driving past all these elderly, like senior citizens, like proper, like 60s, 70s, 80s. They're going around in Zimmer frames, and they're all, African, Indian, Pakistani, and I'm thinking, okay, like if the family have brought them over and they're being, supplied for by their family, but they're not a net
They're
benefit
not.
to the country.
They're they
I'm
they
sorry, like
they
I
get a
don't
pension.
care where they're from. Yeah, I don't care that they're, they're black or brown. That's not the issue. The point is we're bringing these people in, and it's putting a strain on the system, and that's literally what it is. We're importing, and then what kind of health issues will they have at that age? Hips, legs, eyes, ears. It all starts to break down. They require GP visits more. They require hospital appointments. It's plugging it all up. That's just putting a strain right across public services. I'm thinking, I'm just driving along. Okay, elderly person, Zimmer frame. Okay, there's nothing with a walking stick. I'm like, Jesus, we have to look after our own first. Like, it's nothing to do with who they are. It's just kind of like, well, that's not really a positive for their country. It doesn't
No,
make sense.
all immigration has to have a net benefit. Like I said, I've written policy in relation to this for the political party I'm involved in, and there's some fantastic ideas and ways of doing it. My over kind of my policies all involve what's called souring the milk, is what we call it. So basically, yeah, you can come to Ireland, no problem. Don't care what country you come from. You're paying 40% tax, and that's it.
Mm,
If you want to live here and you're non-national, you pay 40% tax. That's it. Then you
mm,
can come here and you can work. If you break the law, you're gone. You get one strike. That's it. You're gone. You can't get residency here. You can't get citizenship here.
mm,
You can't own property here. And that's it. Now there's a difference if an Irish person marries somebody from a foreign country. Obviously, that is a different thing.
mm.
I have this
Yeah,
thing about love. If you fall in love with somebody from another country, then so be it. Um,
yeah.
that's it. That's it. But outside of that, migrant workers should come here as a net benefit to my people. They're going to pay
That should just be
40%
common
tax.
sense.
Yeah, they're going to pay 40% tax, and you're only going to pay 10% tax.
Mm.
And
I
that's
agree with pretty much all of that. The only thing that I would say maybe with the houses now, kind of maybe adopt like what Spain did, hit them with a higher tax as well. That they pay extra on their mortgage basically.
again
You know,
for a period of 10 years, I'd be extremely strict. And this is just to solve the
yeah,
current
even put a
housing
time limit
crisis.
on it as well.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
put a time
And
limit on it,
this
and
is the thing. You can
yeah,
you
things
can
like that.
soften all of these approaches. You have to go hard to say. I'll be honest. I'm a
Mm,
libertarian. I'm not even really a
mm,
nationalist. Politically, I'm a libertarian. I
mm,
just want to be left alone. I don't want any government. I don't use any government facilities. I don't use government services. I don't use public transport. I use nothing from the state. I never have.
mm.
I made my own life.
Well,
I I I
fair play.
I can't talk about it online, but I'll talk about it offline. But the state gets very little from me now. The state burnt its bridges with
Mm,
me back in 2020 when they told me I was
mm,
a second class citizen, and that now they've moved me to third class citizen. So I'm as outside of the system as far as I can get. I want nothing from
mm,
the state. I want to remove the state. The conversation I had with Jared Casey was fantastic in relation to that, and that's why I'm such a fan of his. I love libertarian ideas and ideals, and you know what I mean. The
mm,
reality is, fend for yourself. If you can't, if you come to a foreign country and expect social welfare, you should not even be allowed to land. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be allowed to dock or port.
mm.
As in, anybody coming here that literally isn't bringing, same as people going to Australia. You can't get into Australia without 40 or 50 grand in your bank. You have
Yeah,
to be able
like
to show them that why don't Ireland take the same approach? You can't claim asylum here because there's no way to get here. You cannot legally claim asylum in Ireland because unless you fucking swam,
mm,
how did you get onto this island? You must have traveled through another country. So there's
yeah.
every single person that comes into this country illegally should be detained, um, and then deported. And
Mm,
asylum should only happen outside of the country. It should take maybe 200 to 500 max per year. Asylum,
mm.
genuine asylum requests. That all this stuff is so simple. It's
It
literally
really
just
is.
common sense
and,
and
and
political
and
will.
yeah, and the people like that us that we get called far right and all that. These were like the Democrat, the liberal type talking points. What 15 years ago, you had the
Yeah,
old tips of like what was it, Obama and Hillary, and That's
The
seeing a
ba-
little 40-year-old president,
the the
going,
the,
don't break up nasty
the
for
baby
babies. Like,
eaters, the baby eaters. Yeah.
yeah, like, Jesus, like everything that we're saying now, you could rewind, you can take out a tip from like the 90s, 2000s, and they were saying exactly the same thing, and now we're saying it, and now we're far right to that the other. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you mentioned Australia there, but like they're still suffering a fair bit now with mass migration as
Mhm.
well. Like, it seems to be this thing, any country that adopts the Western, political democratic structure is undergoing the same rapid demographic change. And anybody that's speaking out of it ends up being cancelled, being piled on. This is all by design. I think you probably know that.
Oh,
It's not just
are we
happening
putting
every.
are we putting the
That's the
tinfoil hat?
tinfoil hat on.
Are we
Yeah,
putting the
yeah, that's
tinfoil
it.
hat on?
Yeah, that's what to say. Yeah, God. And all these things keep on coming to pass then, and we're proven right, like, within a
Is
few
it,
weeks or months. It's like, oh, there you
okay?
go.
Is it stupidity or is it nefarious activity? If you had to call it.
Oh, God. You could say it's probably a little bit of both. I don't know. You got stupid people. I think it's greed, and you know, you've obviously got powerful people. And I know you get this section of society that it's all Jews, 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 and it's ridiculous. And people will say, oh, "I'm a Jew, and I'm receiving the shekels, this, that, and the other." And look, that's another conspiracy theory. I will say for the record, and people can take this because it's going to be it's recorded, and it's going to be put
Oh, I
out
don't,
there.
I don't, I don't edit. Yeah, 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 yeah. So
I don't care. They can come at me any which way they want. Yes, there are powerful Jewish people that are pushing
mhm.
migration. Absolutely. That's a no brainer. There is. They are overrepresented. And that guy, Bleak House 12, that was tweeting me the other day, he was right when he was saying they are overrepresented in
Mhm.
terms of, heading up these NGOs and pushing it into Western society. Are they the only ones to blame? Absolutely not. It wasn't Jewish people that signed into legislation into force, the EU Migration Pact. It wasn't a Jewish person that turned around and said that Irish public sector is looking too white. That was a Pakistani migrant, as we know, Leo Varadkar. And it wasn't, a Jewish person that invited the world here in 12 different languages. That was Roger Gorman. You could go on and give all these examples of people from all walks of
Their,
life that are doing
their
this.
lobbying power is
Mm,
massive.
immense, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and Mossad. This is a lot of people say Jews, 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 Zionists. Because
Mm,
you have to. There's different organizations. Mossad is the most dangerous covert operations operator on the planet. Like they run circles around the CIA, MI5, MI6.
mm,
That is an extremely dangerous
mm.
organization, and they do tip the
Careful what
scales
you say now.
in yeah. Now I'm. This is the. This is this. See, this is the other thing. Hubris. Irish people talking about the Jews. We're not important enough for them to do anything. We're all just tiny little cogs. We're insects. Like we're not. We're not.
Mm,
I have no wealth. I have a very small platform. I have no threat or interest to anything bigger. And this is the other thing that
mm,
people are trying to go to level 10 straight away, and they're talking about Jewish influence and this guy and that guy and all these big things.
yeah.
No, you need to look at your local councillors. That's who you need to be targeting. That's who you need to be putting under pressure. You can have a dig at your county TD and the guys in the Dáil as
Mm,
well, but stop. Look, it's easy to have a big bad that is just one word, and it's them, it's the Jews.
yeah.
That's fine. Okay, I'll agree with you. It is 100%. It is, and has been throughout
Mm,
history. You know what I mean? That they're there and they've been booted out of so many countries, etc.
mm.
What now? You've noticed. You're giving out about it online.
And what are you
What
doing
now?
about it? Yeah,
Show
yeah.
me your plan. Show me your plan. Show me your plan. Put it on paper. I
Mm,
want to see it in policy. I want to see it in. I want you to teach me how to sell what you're selling at the doors to a 63-year-old woman who, you know what I mean, just average middle of the road, lives in a
she's
small
not going to
village.
listen to that, is she? Exactly. She's not going to listen to that. And that's where it goes back then, as I said to you then, like, so, like, Gavin Pepper getting stuff
Mm,
done in his community for his neighbour, for the man and the woman down the road that's stressed out of their mind, being a victim, whatever. And you've got some headbanger online, and it's the Jews, she'd have a house, it wasn't. No, you're talking absolute nonsense. calm down. Just calm down. As I said, you improve your community and it spreads outwards, and then you fix your county, and then from your county you go to your country. Like
Mm.
realistically, as you said, we've literally got the Nationalist Party and Independent Ireland for that
What do
Conservative Party.
what is your take on independent Ireland? So you've got four sitting rural TDs.
Yeah, I chat to. He's an interesting character. He's kind of under the radar. I won't say him. I don't think he's too well known anyway, but he randomly rings me out of the blue and he has certain takes on certain parties. And we were talking about independent Ireland. They done a nasty job on Elaine Mullally,
Mm.
usurping her and taking over her party. And there was a lot of hope there for that. I don't know if Elaine would have brought it to the level that it's at now. I genuinely don't know. But let's look at exactly what they're. If you go onto their website, or whatever, if you can find some online, if I was to show and you got a screenshot for this, like literally who their candidates are, it's FFG. Like they're literally outcasts from FFG. It feels like it's almost an infiltration by Fianna Fáil. Look, we've got an overhang of party members that we don't want or need anymore. They're not doing much. Tell you what, go in there to that party over there that Elaine's running, and that's what it kind of looks like. And the way it was done, she was usurped and kicked out. I don't know.
Now here's because I agree with what you're saying there. Okay. That's why I say we should do the exact same thing. We play too clean. We play too nice. We should join that party in
We
mass.
absolutely do.
Pay your 20
Yeah,
quid.
because
Go to their meetings and control all the votes. Control all of their votes.
well, somebody said the same thing, but do it with Fianna Fáil or Fianna Gael. Because if you look,
Gatekeepers.
like, now that's a bigger job. That is a much bigger job. I appreciate that. Yeah, it'd be really difficult to do. A smaller party, you could do it with the likes of Tour or Independent Ireland. You could certainly do it in that instance. But yeah, they just played her really dirty. I will say, in their defence, Ken O'Flynn, forgive me language here, fucking rock star. The guy is busting his home. He tells it exactly like it is. And he has that kind of aura that I'm on about.
Good suits.
Would fantastic suits. Beautiful beard. Beautiful beard. My Jesus.
Yeah.
I was in envy of his beard when I met him. Lovely beard. Lovely guy, really nice.
He's playing he's playing a part and he's playing it extremely well because some of the other guys are a bit rural, a bit gruff, a bit, you know what I mean, the shirt hanging out and things like that. Whereas he's the polished article. You can sell him to your upper middle class estates.
Your grandmother.
You can sell them in towns, you can sell them in cities and stuff like that. Whereas the other lads will do fine out in more rural areas, you know what I mean? Salt of the earth people. O'Callaghan's actually what's the name? The Limerick guy. He's actually a very nice man as well. I met him at
O'Donoghue, isn't it?
O'Donoghue, sorry, O'Donoghue. Yeah, James O'Donoghue.
Oh, he's good as well. He works hard as well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I have to say, I watched him. I set myself up in the Foynes area just to watch all the coming and going, and basically I got the camp kettles out and I was making tea and coffee for people and stuff like that. And I was there. I want to see who's here. I want to see who's doing what. And very down to earth man, very very grounded. I saw him walking around, kind of no wellies in a raincoat kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. No big hullabaloo or anything like that. And he was just chatting away. Came in.
Hence the same as well. He's very approachable, very nice guy. And we had a good laugh, like a good honest chat. You know, not just about what I went to him about, and like he was telling me about his own life. He's asking about mine, and very approachable, nice guy, great sense of humor, and he is basically bringing up, kind of he's bringing up the centre right nationalist type talking points, but he's so presentable, and the way he words it, he's intelligent. He's getting that point across, and it's sellable. It is there. It's completely marketable with him. Your grandmother would vote from. Your grandfather would vote from. The young guy look at his suits, and say, geez, he's polished, he's clean, he's intelligent. I agree with him, and you would vote for him. He'd get the votes, no problem. So yeah, I do. I'm a big fan of Ken, and the great thing about him as well, I know it sounds really, really sweet, but the little thing as well, obviously with him being gay as well, it's not as easy to throw around the whole far right thing, and he's a homophobe or he's a transphobe or he's this or that as well. he just laughs all that off. And I think he's actually said it once or twice. He said, "I'm a gay man, so what are you trying all this nonsense stuff?" And he's talking about the LGBT and
I, I,
women's
I,
rights and all the rest of it.
I'll be honest. I don't really look at. I didn't know he was gay.
Yeah, he's married. Yeah, he's married. Yeah, this is it. Like, but when it's brought up, he just tries to put on about. I'm gay. So
Mm.
I don't. What are you on about?
Didn't,
Of course, I
did,
support the LGBT, the alphabet community. What are you on about? So I just believe in women's rights. So you
mm.
can't call me either of those things.
Jesus,
Um,
that's a good strong position to be in, isn't it? Because he can play all cards, so to speak, if you know what I mean. And this again,
yeah,
this boils back to politics. It's not a clean game. It's not a fair game. It's you're literally who's got the best propaganda and who's got the best bullshit story, and that is politics. And then behind the scenes, it's basically what do I have to sacrifice to get what I want, and
bloodshed,
that's it.
cloak and
Yeah,
dagger in the background. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is. Backstabbing and all the rest of it. A big, big problem, as I saw from minute one, and that's why I always said it was the public fight and the spots online and all the rest of it. And this is another thing as well to praise the National Party again. You don't see that with any of them. They just
yeah,
literally do their tweet, get it out there, and then they ignore it. They run.
yeah,
It's posted. You can do whatever the hell you want, but I don't care. You
yeah.
make up your own minds.
It took me a long time to stop doing it myself. I used to get involved in back and forths with degenerates and morons and
Mm,
stuff like that, and I don't do it anymore. It's all a learning curve. You know what I mean? And
mm,
what I've learned to do is take emotion out of it. I was far too much. Now I was angrier. There was a lot of stuff going on in my
mm,
life. I actually wanted the fight, and I wanted the argument and the dopamine release or whatever. But now it's a case of no, all emotion out of it. Don't care who you are. Don't care what I, my people don't like your people. I don't care. I've got my own opinion. Malik Steenson running, AJ running. You know what I mean? Do I align with them perfectly? Absolutely not. But if I was in Maliki's constituency, he'd get my vote. It's as simple as that. That's he's nowhere near what I want, but he's got 2 or 3 talking points. And yeah, I do agree with that, and I'll support that. Same with AJ in Galway.
It's
There's
about
a lot
building
of
those blocks. That's what I was saying before with the last elections. Like, if there's a candidate there on our sides, in our constituency, we absolutely should be voting for them. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, and so, like, I was arguing, okay, I know N2 aren't absolutely perfect. They were, down on the votes for me. I did have a candidate here. I went and voted for Rob Carey. He got my vote number one. I think it was Phil Dwyer then got number two. And I think the next best that I had was N2. Or oh, sorry, there was another independent, and he actually got in Jerry O'Neill, I think it was, and he's a seasoned
yeah.
independent candidate, and he's quite good. He does work hard. I vote for him as well, and then I think it was the Ainsley candidate, and outside of that, I just didn't. Nobody got anything. Then I just left the rest of the sheet blank. So
It's yeah, the politics is funny. Look, we could talk about that for another hour in relation to it. But look, I think we're fairly aligned in relation to that. Look, National Party, last man standing. You want ethno nationalism. You want staunch nationalism. That's the way. That is definitely the way to go. Give them support. Obviously, I'll change my tune if Ireland First comes back on the market, so to speak, or I might change my tune. I can't say one way or the other until that actually happens. Have you any? I presume because Ezra put out all the stuff that he did, that you
sure.
don't have any barring orders on what you can talk about in relation to the lawfare being waged upon you, or is there any
No, like
restrictions?
no. So the way it basically works, and we're very clever about what we're doing. And this is, you probably know yourself the way you set it up, the political apparatus, the lawfare. They, like, you take something like Derek Bly's situation with Russell Hyde, they can't talk about their situation at all, the harassment of the Gardaí. I won't say anything on that. But, the powers that be, they can say whatever they like about these two guys. So what we're doing, we're making sure that every time we get into court, we're drip feeding the public bits of information. I can go back out onto my social media and say, well, look, if you happen to be in that courtroom, it's out of the public domain. So I'm entitled lawfully to say X, Y, and Z. So yeah, my situation for your viewers, they don't know, I was basically arrested in October 15, 2024 for essentially retweeting something. It was information that was already out in the public domain. A resident of Newtown, Kennedy, went into a WhatsApp group and accused one of the illegal migrants into their house and iPass of exposing himself to her 14-year-old sister on a bus. Um, so it went into the WhatsApp group. I was told that it was already on her Facebook. I did see it on another resident's Facebook. It was already there. I'm not going to name them. I did see it because we were friends and I saw it on her page. And yeah, so I essentially, if you look at what was tweeted, if anybody's familiar with it, you can actually see the standardized WhatsApp background that has a lot of the squiggles, the doodles, and stuff like that in the background. So you can actually see it. It's not something that I fabricated. It's a text message, like a WhatsApp message that was sent to me with a photo, and I reshared it. Now, that exact same information was already out there. I literally sent it once on Twitter. So yeah, so that was on the. I sent that on the 23rd of June, 2024. You go forward then a few months, to October 15th, 6:30 a.m. I've got five Gardaí essentially smashing down my door, fists raining down on the, piddling down with rain, pitch black dark. I look on the ring doorbell camera and they turn around and see Gardaí. I was like, oh god, here we go. I always kind of knew it might happen, because you know I heard, I think, right as I started speaking out politically, gained a little bit of traction. I think it was Gavin Pepper's house was raided as he was trying to run for councillor. I think it happened to one or two others. They had this. I think Michael Connell had guards up to his house as well about an alleged threat to Micheál Martin. He blew that out of the water and they never proceeded with it. So there was similar type incidents. So it didn't come as a huge surprise, but when they're actually at your door and they're smashing their fists against it and they're screaming, Gardaí, we have a search warrant. Like, it is absolutely terrifying. It's pitch black there, wind, rain, and opened up, and they just barge in. You've got guards going one way, this way, that way, and it's you're disorientated. And they're shoving a search warrant in, and this, that, and the other, and they're saying, "Did you send this? We're here about this tweet, and do you own the electrical devices in this house?" And I said, "Well, it depends which one you want." So yeah, they were there. They took three devices: my phone, my laptop, and a work laptop. So of course they do that on purpose, so it infringes on your employment. Um, got dragged off then to Bray Guard Station. 12 hours of questioning on the day. On the advice of the solicitor, just kept on saying no comment. Um, Finally got back to my wife. She had just had a serious surgery as well, so she was up to her eyes on OxyContin painkillers, stitched up, not in a good way, and I was dragged, away from her in a very vulnerable state. And they offered, they said, we can have like a PCAs on a care or something like that. Her immediate words, go fuck yourself. Um, just having none. But like, you're literally getting your partner, your husband, dragged out of the house at the early hours of the morning for a bloody tweet, and they're, oh, would you like a carer? So basically, they're having none of it. Our family's having none of it. And one of the residents in Newtown came out and stayed with her for 12 hours. So I didn't hear anything more of it. They then tried, I'm sure you probably remember, they tried it in December of 24. It was about 60 days later, but none of us heard anything about it until February of 25. They tried to get access to 10 Twitter accounts. I was one of 10. Some of them were members of the Irish Press Council. They were John McGurk, Fatima Gunning, Ben Scallon, Matt Tracy, whoever was employed at Grit Media. They wanted the full communications, private communications, including DMs, the whole lot of 10 accounts on X. And that includes members of the press. That's an attack on free speech in Ireland, right at the very heart of it. A bullet shot right to the heart. It's crazy, absolutely insane that they tried that. Thankfully, Elon Musk's legal team, told me to go and swing, so you're not getting it. They rejected it. I haven't heard anything more since. None of us have, I don't think. But I didn't hear anything about my own personal situation then until September of 25. And I got a random call then from the solicitor saying, look, there's new evidence and it's coming to light. And I kind of knew straight away it was going to be a conversation, a private conversation between me and this woman down in Newtown. So, yeah, the church they originally brought me in. I'm the first person in the history of the state that was arrested under Section 12A of the 1976 Criminal Justice Act. It's anti-terrorism laws brought in to tackle like the IRA, UVF, and militant dissidents. Essentially, it was created to stop like hoax bomb phone calls and stuff like that, and they never fucking used it. Fast forward some 40 years later, and you got some pleb with a phone that goes and sends a tweet in good faith, and it's being used for a tweet. Now, luckily, I got some great advice from, I won't say who, but she's a very senior barrister in Ireland. Uh, Solid advice. I found very, very confident going down. So I went down voluntarily. A lot of people said to me, you shouldn't have. And she said, you can say this, but don't go outside it. Don't say anything else. It's all no comment outside it. You tell them this, and everything else is no comment. So what I was told was basically go down and say, yes, you run the account. Yes, you did send it, but it was in good faith. And you couldn't possibly, and this is the key thing here now. So under section 12A, the very first word that, or well, the first few words, it said that a person knowingly. So how could I knowingly have sent this when it was sent to me, and their own evidence shows no such suggestion that I did it with intent to cause a person harm or with intent to cause damage to property. So I made a mug of it to Gardaí, basically. We weren't too happy. He got very frustrated. So I couldn't possibly done it. Think about it logically. I said I couldn't have. So your legislation that you've got there is absolutely moronic. You need to go back to the chalkboard. I shouldn't have basically said that. Because then they did. They came back to my house then on November 3rd, about 6, 7 weeks later, and then they arrested me under Coco's law. So Coco's law basically was section 4.1 and 4.3. Basically, the wording of it's a bit different. And again, it's one of these ridiculous pieces of legislation, very, very, very similar to the hate speech legislation that they were trying to bring in. But this actually passed because the wording of it is far too broad. Like they basically say that if you send, I think the word is grotesque. Don't quote me on that. I think it is. I think it's grotesque. So what might be grotesque to me could be absolutely hilarious to you. You know, it's like comedy. It's subjective. You know, we're all entitled to our own interpretations of it. Now, as we all know, Paul Murphy is a very staunch, hard left-leaning socialist, and he actually spoke out against this legislation. So the people that are currently attacking me on the left, I keep on pointing out to them, your overlord, Paul Murphy, was actually speaking, defending me not too long ago, saying, you know, this legislation is far too broad. Too many people are going to be brought in on this, and it's going to have a really damaging effect on free speech. Because there's another part of it as well. Like, you know, it goes past just images. It's not just about images. It's basically a grotesque, piece of communication. So words, texts, memes, whatever. So we already essentially have a form of a hate speech in place with this section 4.1. The 4.3 is the part that Coco's mother, I think her name was Nicola, Coco, her mother, her name's Joanne, stand to be corrected on that, and she campaigned for this piece of legislation. And that's the one that most of us wouldn't have an issue with. That's the one about intimate images. Now, again, in my situation, it's not a bloody intimate image. The guy's clothed. Everybody can see it in the photo. Now, there's a little bit of his hip showing and his boxers are showing, but again, I don't think it falls into the parameters of intimate. So it feels like overreach again, even with that. So yeah, the DPP went ahead with the charge on November the 3rd. December the 8th, I got brought in, and they instantly tried to strike fear into me. It was obviously planned. They said that the evidence book against me was extensive, because a number of the media outlets then ran with that in their headlines, saying that the evidence book was extensive. I was immediately thinking, oh great, they've after scouring through thousands of my tweets, and they're trying to find things where I've targeted black people or whatever, you know what I mean? And I haven't. It's not my way. I didn't know what to expect. So the crowd that I was with, I'm sure if people want to go look for it, they can. I won't say it for now. It's all going to come out when it's all said and done. I wasn't happy with them at all. I really genuinely wasn't happy with them at all. They were basically telling me to take a plea deal. That's what I'll say for now. And I wasn't happy doing that. As far as I was concerned, ironically, that would be misinformation. If I went into a courtroom and pled guilty, that to me is misinformation. And I'm in court for alleged misinformation. So I said, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. Now, I had sent it. I send UDM sometimes just to amplify things, to get eyes on it. I sent it on to Ezra. And he just rang me and he heard my story, kind of like exactly what I'm doing to you here now. I didn't hear anything more of it, and then I told him, after the first appearance and how it went with the solicitor. When I tell people what happened in that meeting with the solicitor from the firm that I was originally with before Alicia de Bruin, people's heads are going to fucking spin. I don't know. I can't say it politely. What I was given, the advice on that day, genuinely, it's grounds for disparity as far as my partner and I are concerned. It's just absolutely shocking. I had to get away from it. Um, so yeah, I sent it on to Ezra. He rang me and we had a conversation exactly like this, what I'm doing here. Nothing untoward. And I didn't know this, but in the background, he started making phone calls. And I got a few phone calls in around Christmas from him and in the new year, early in the new year in January. And he said, look, are you happy with your representation? I can't force you. He said, I'm really trying, to find somebody, an activist type lawyer, solicitor, anybody, a barrister that would take your case. And it's unbelievable. He said, like, Ireland is absolutely in a sorry ass state. Like, he kept on saying to me in phone, I just can't believe it. So I'm making hundreds of phone calls. I'm ringing so many firms up and down the length and breadth of the country. I can't find anybody. Is this something that you're interested in? At the time, I was like, no, because I think I'm okay. Wasn't sure. And then out of the blue, then I think it was kind of mid January, maybe the third week in January, I got a DM from Alicia Broom saying you're free for a phone call. And I thought it was something to do with women's rights or the crime data and stuff that I was putting out and all that. Wasn't thinking it was anything to do with it because I didn't see her taking court cases. I wasn't sure she was still doing that. I didn't have a clue. So she rang me then about a week later and she said, it's all about your case and all the rest of it. How would you like if I represented you? And we had a chat about it. And then she brought up and said, look, Ezra has contacted me and we want to do a crowd fund essentially. And we want to try and help people like you who are being dragged through the courts unfairly. It's not just about you. There are a few other people that we have in mind. We want to try and help as many people as possible because like there's people that aren't on X. You have like Angela Ray, her story was insane. You have Lisa Temple, another absolutely crazy story. There's so many of these. Grant Carey, and my heart is broken because I promised him the sun, moon, and stars, but he's so far gone with his situation. Very difficult for a legal team to come in and take the ball that late, right before the goal line, essentially before you're, full time. The funding hasn't gone far enough to take some of these cases, unfortunately, for different reasons. Funding or too late in the game. One story down in Cork, he's on X as Mr. P. I can't say much about it, but if people heard what he's gone through, so he met me in Bray, it would blow people's mind. It's one of the most horrific stories of lawfare persecution I've ever heard in my life.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, yeah.
Was your and is your look? I know for a fact because I search people's
Mm,
X accounts all the time.
sure,
I've said, I mean, genuinely racist, nasty, horrible. I'm not joking. It might, but I delete nothing.
yeah.
But I've only ever got like one strike. I think on X. Well, they banned me off it during COVID, but my X account is
Mm,
way worse than yours,
mm,
right? So, are you
yeah.
targeted because of your when you were under the Terry K persona on X?
Mm,
You showed the world essentially on Garda Síochána in an extremely poor light because of the actions they had taken against the citizens of the country. Is that the only reason that you got singled out and that file actually made it to the DPP? Because this is a nothing burger. It's not even something in reality that they can pursue, if you know what I mean. Because if even if they were to convict you, you'll win your appeal on numerous grounds, and then that law is useless forevermore.
Yeah, I think the reason why it came from me, there's two reasons, possibly. One, obviously, the Newtown Kennedy thing. My account just absolutely exploded. It genuinely did. Like, Tommy Robinson retweeting me and, all kinds. I'm just amazed that Elon Musk didn't pick it up and, take one of my videos. But, like I've said it a few times in recent weeks, like in the space of, I think, about 7 to 10 days at the height of it around the riot, April 25th. I think it was from about the 15th up to maybe the end of April. That the last 2 weeks of April, I had about 10 to 12 million impressions on my account, and it's a fact. Most national broadcasters would be bloody delighted with those figures if they got them
Hmm.
on RTE or BBC. Like, that's big bloody figures. For some guy just with a mobile phone that went down to a protest and it boomed. And even on the night of City West, like when I done the live there, that had nearly 100,000 viewers on it at one point. I was like, oh, you had to do a double take. And my partner, Karen, was behind me and she was showing me all her friends and her family. I was still using the Terry K name at that stage.
Mm.
And they had no idea it was me and that she was there. And she's like this is like her brother-in-law or a work colleague, and presented on my live to her, telling her to watch it. And she stood behind me, and I'm at the live with the fucking selfie stick. It's just funny, like it was crazy. But yeah, I think they did it because that's one reason. I think because I really showed them in a poor light. I really did, what was going on. Now, I'm not undermining the work that anybody else has ever done. I have nothing genuine, but nothing but admiration for anybody that came before me. And the guy's got me blocked, but I don't care. I don't hold any ill feeling towards him, Mick O'Keefe. You know, do I agree with everything Mick says and does? No, I don't. Not at all. I don't. But I respect what he's doing because it's his opinion. He's entitled to it. And it's his country. He feels strong about it. And he's fully entitled to feel that way. Gav Pepper, Philip Wire, Derek Bly, all these people that were out taking the risk long before everybody else felt it was safe to do so. They were the ones that were out in the front line. All these people, Malcolm Stevenson, whoever, the names, so I'm going to say Mick Git as well. All these people, they put their name and image out there, their livelihoods, their reputation. There's a risk to it. And I always have nothing but admiration and respect for people that do that. It is not easy to put your name, your image, your reputation, everything out there on the line. The minute you do that, you're putting yourself out there for criticism, for attack, you know, politically, your neighbors, your friends, your family, everybody. Like we've all lost friends and family through this. That's minor compared to getting dragged into court and all the rest of it. But yeah, like I've nothing respect for those guys. It was easier almost for me to do it. Now, what I did then with the Newtown Mount Kennedy thing, we had East Wall, there was things down in Tipperary, all the rest of it. I think Newtown Mount Kennedy was the first time that one of these iPasses went global. I think that's fair to say, and it reached people that like East Wall. Okay, it was more kind of a national thing that was happening. It was on RTE a little bit. I remember like the protests and the port tunnel and stuff. It wasn't really reaching in even into the UK. It wasn't making news there. Nothing like that. There was images of Newtown and Kennedy reaching as far as Australia. There was residents that used to live in Newtown and Kennedy that were sending links back from Australian regional newspapers, like real off the grid rural towns, in Australia, and it was in the news there, like images of the riot. It was that bad, like images from videos that I'd taken and sent me and I shared and I put out into the public sphere. So I think that really put the noses out of the joint of the establishment, all of them. So that's one reason I think we did it. But there was another incident. I can't say too much here, but there was a video. I'll let people try and link the dots that went out about one of the staff members down in the Newtown Mount Kennedy Garda station. They did not look very good in that video. And yeah, I was falsely accused in a tweet then by a militant socialist who we all probably know, Eamon Crudden.
Mm.
And I went down and gave a Garda statement. And of course, they're doing absolutely nothing with it today. So it's not over yet. I'm still pushing it. I don't care if he sees this. I want him to know that the sword of Damocles hasn't been fully removed from his head yet. I am pushing it, but they haven't as yet fully gone through with that prosecution. I'm fully entitled to my rights. He defamed me very badly,
Mhm.
and because I did that, I gave a statement saying that I run the account Terry K, and they weaponized that against me, and that's why they got their search warrants.
Mm.
So when I was a victim of Coco's law, realistically, I was a victim of Coco's law. I was harassed. I had harmful communications put out there about me. And when I went down to log complaints in that regard, when I was a victim, no interest. And they took that statement of me as a victim, and they're using it to weaponize it against me so they can persecute me or prosecute me, should I say,
Somebody,
interrogate me.
somebody senior has to make a call on a decision like this.
They were
So,
expecting me to take a plea deal, and I know they were. And I just things that have happened between the communications of my prior solicitor and who was involved in it and what was said. And just look at the evidence book. Like, for anybody that hasn't been paying attention to the story, so I was in yesterday, the time before, uh, the judge didn't show up, it was the one before that. So two times before this, it was the fifth time I went in. The new legal team of Leisha Brown and Port Blanche, absolutely brilliant litigators. They saw a further disclosure of 10 items, 10 freaking items. Now, remember what I said a few minutes ago, that the evidence book was extensive. So we've gone from December of it being extensive to now seeking 10 items of more evidence because this extensive evidence book isn't quite as extensive as they made out. They've been rejected, and yesterday, and it's out in the public domain, so I'm entitled to say it, we went and saw them, and it's on Ezra Levant's timeline channel of the notes that he took. So Leisha was arguing, saying, we need this to get a fair trial, and anybody can look this up. It's called Bradish versus the DPP. That's Bradish versus the DPP. Bradish was a case where an individual was convicted, he was in prison, he took his appeal. It's basically on, let's just say, quirky CCTV footage, ironically. And it's a situation again in mine where CCTV footage isn't, let's say, perfect. And we were seeking basically, well, Bradish, sorry, let's stick with that. Bradish argued in his appeal that he didn't get a fair trial because it wasn't a full disclosure. How could he have possibly got a full and fair trial based on the evidence that was given? The CCTV footage that was used in his trial was of extremely poor quality, and they sentenced him on that. And then they deleted it then even before the appeal came along. So they overturned his conviction because it was one, poor quality CCTV that they couldn't identify the person and link him to the crime. And two, then they went and fucking deleted it, even in the process of him doing his appeal, so he couldn't get a fair appeal either then. So that's now set in Irish law that under Bradish, everybody is entitled to a full disclosure. That basically gets to a point where the prosecution and the defence are happy, okay, we can proceed with a fair trial on this, and we wouldn't need an appeal or judicial review down the line. So Leisha's in the court yesterday saying, hang on, we need to identify these other people. So between statements in the evidence book and the CCTV, there are at least 6 other people that are mentioned, and they have now admitted, and it's on court record, that they can't identify these people. Any one of those individuals could have saw or heard something that could prove my guilt, and I don't get it. Even if you're on the other side and you want to see nothing more than me to be convicted, sure, you would want one of those 6 people to be identified and convict me then if it was truly a false accusation. But yet I've got morons on the left just straight out saying, he's guilty, he sent out false information. Now, any one of those 6 people could either see me dead to rights or proven completely innocent. So it just tells me that they don't want a fair trial. They don't care about that. That's my opinion anyway.
The risk is setting precedent. What they've essentially done is that they've Enoch Burked themselves, and this should actually be because like the law does not know what to do with Enoch Burke. They can't keep him in prison forever. He's never going to back down. They've put themselves in a corner. They never get out of this. They have to choose to keep that man in prison in contempt forever. Or else they have to give up.
Good analogy, actually. All right, yeah.
They're in the same situation with you.
Mm.
If they drop the ball on this, Coco's law doesn't mean anything anymore, or the other section that they used. So they're not going to risk bringing in random witnesses who, you know what I mean, that a good litigator can destroy. Do you get me?
So I do, yeah.
From a strategy point of view, look, they're banjacks. I would imagine you will get an offer at some point.
What my big move to do, like,
like a accept an adult caution or something like that. You know.
it's going to be interesting. It really is.
Mm,
Like, because of the noise and the hullabaloo that I've made around it now, and it's gaining traction. I'm getting some DMs from some interesting people that I didn't think I would ever get, that I didn't expect to even know or hear about my story, and I was like, oh bloody hell, and yeah, like I think they have the enough work themselves. So I love that analogy actually, because if they even do what you said there, and some sort of agreement out of court or something like that, like an adult caution or something, I'm obviously still going to go to social media and say, I don't know, maybe part of it will say that I can't talk about it or something. I'll put some sort of restriction in. But I don't know. We'd have to see what was included in that. They've shot themselves in the foot. They've tried, I think they were certain that I was going to fold instantly.
mm,
Um, and I just have a lot of powerful people around me that have a lot of fight, that are really strong activists, the likes of Leisha Brown. That woman is absolutely incredible. She's qualified, she's fully qualified in media and journalism. She has like her majors in that as well. She used to work for like the ITV as well and done documentaries and all sorts. And basically, you know, she's a mother then as well. And then she goes and passes the bar as well, and she's a fully qualified barrister. It's just incredible, and she's an amazing litigator. That what happened in Bray yesterday was incredible, because when it's for mention, you're on a clock. You've only got probably maybe about 3 to 5 minutes. It's not set by time, but I think it's kind of like an unwritten rule, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes max. But that dragged out for a good 20 minutes, and you could just feel the tension growing in the courtroom, and it was packed. You could fit. I was just standing with my back to the door, but I could keep on hearing the door open and closing, and everybody was just hushed silence. And she went through the bail conditions, because the bail conditions that they set said that I couldn't even attend protests of
mm,
any kind. But we managed to get that amended to no longer being a bypass protest, which is more in line with what the charge involves. But she just went off and cited a whole list of prior cases where it was overreach on the bail conditions, and it actually worked against the state in getting a conviction. So she plays, ball with them a little bit, saying this isn't working to your benefit. My clients' rights are being infringed upon constitutionally. Constitutionally, I'm entitled to peaceful assembly.
peaceful
I am
protest, yeah.
peaceful. Yeah, and I've never ever been violent at any of these things. And I'm actually on video at the City West one saying, don't bloody do it, like as in regards to the ban, don't torture. But like, what am I going to do? Keep on fighting with these people or something like that? I'm not
Mm,
going to get the head smacked off me by these people that are masked up and everything. So, like, don't do it. It's fake. Don't do it. I'm on record, on the live, saying that. Don't do it. They took it. They took the bait. And that was the headline the next day. So we got them amended. I'm allowed to attend protests. If there's another field protest or something like that, I'm free to go. But yeah, the evidence book thing, then she went on that. They were just having none of it, absolutely none of it. So now my trial is due up on September the 25th. There's a few videos going around that had the wrong date, and we went in and we got it changed to September the 25th. Well, that's definitely set in stone. That's fixed. Um, I was going to say that. Yeah, so I'm getting dragged to court on September the 25th on incomplete evidence, and that's a fact, because that, again, it's on court record now as of yesterday. The judge basically said, that's something that you discuss during the
Is this
trial.
a
Why?
is this going to be a jury trial?
No, no, it's just district, so summarily. So prosecution, defence, judge will make a call. That's it.
Hmm.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
It's I don't know. Like I said, I like my term. I think the state has backed themselves into a corner, and it'll be very interesting how how they get themselves out of it. Because even if they have, what is your opinion of the? Sorry to segue. It's what is your
No,
opinion of the judiciary in Ireland at the moment? You've been in and out of court enough now to see. I'm sure numerous judges. What is your take on these people?
it's an absolute circus. It really is.
Mm,
I've been in 7 times. Now it is only one courthouse. And I'd love to be a court reporter. I said it to Father McGunnan, I'd love to do that. I said it to other people, I'd love to do that as a profession, I really would. Might be something maybe I'd look into. But then, if I'm getting into that, I'm tied. I'm probably have my hands tied a fair bit, unless I maybe kind of go independent. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. But it's rotten to its core. Like, that's not to say that justice isn't served, for some people. Like, even like, let's say some of the wins that we see, when you see like a sex offender or a rapist or something, and they actually do get jail time. Like, the sentences even feel soft. They don't feel strong enough, like a strong enough deterrent. Like, they're out in a few years and they're happy, to do it again. It doesn't feel that we treat severe crimes harshly enough at all. We're way too soft.
Don't buy your TV license though, and don't pay your
you're screwed.
car
Knee
tax.
tweets.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. We have examples of it every single day. Two-tier justice. There's actually a story, and I just cannot believe a guy was in Kildare Court this week. He had €1 of cannabis on him, and he's in court. Now, like, whatever you think about cannabis and drug taking, whatever else, but come on, €1, like, that's absolutely insane. Like, what a waste of the court's time. What I will say, and what I would say about the whole setup in the courts, and it's going to be a big part of my story after this, and it's a huge problem in Ireland in the court structure. The district courts are a massive, massive, massive problem. It's a money-making scam. It's a huge, nobody's really looking at it. It's a huge, huge money-making scam. The legal system, the whole judiciary, absolutely loves their petty criminals. We look at a story and we see somebody with 175 criminals, person with 100 and whatever, woman with 203 convictions. Judges, solicitors, the presenters, the Gardaí, all of them, they fucking love these people. They love them. They're making a fortune off of it. It's easy money for them, and I'm going to explain why. You get your petty criminal, that goes in and shoplifts, whatever. All that they want them to do is plead guilty. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And even my original solicitor, the original firm, wanted me to plead guilty. Take the plea, take the rap on the knuckle, and then get on with your life. They want you to get that conviction. In my case, it's a little bit different because they wanted to make an example of you. But you take your petty criminal. It's set up so they basically get the plea bargain out of you, and they move on to the next guy, and it's a money-making scam. They get thousands out of this through the legal aid. That's what it is. You plead guilty, I'm going to get my legal aid next, and it's a conveyor belt. It's literally like a factory. They, like, on a standard day for mention in Bray, you're talking about 60 cases for mention. Then you have your arrest warrants. Then you have family court, all the rest of it. And these cases are, like, the mention ones are done generally, like, 6 of the 8 times that I've been in there, probably 7 of them, bar yesterday, it's done and dusted within 60 seconds, 90 seconds max. They're talking so fast, boom, 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 blah, 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 gone. And I have to have a sit-down conversation, obviously, because if you don't understand the language, and especially if you're a petty theft, like, again, they're probably not going to be the most intelligent. They might have addictions to feed, whatever it might be. They're not going to understand it at all. I have a little bit of understanding. I'm not, legally qualified or anything like that. I get bits of it. I understand some of it. And to me, a lot of it goes over my head. And it's literally a machine. It's a money-making machine. You've got these solicitors. Have you got your legal aid? I was looking around even myself when I was with the prior crowd, trying to get somebody that would actually be on my side, that would take on an activist and see my stance of where I was coming from with it. And thankfully, I got that with Corey Blanche and Alicia Brown. They're both of exactly the same mindset. They're right-leaning conservatives. They oppose the same things that I oppose by and large. But I was trying, and none of them wanted to know. It's literally a machine. It's kind of akin. We have all these different various scams. iPass is a scam. Visa schemes are a scam. Trust me, the district courts across the country are an absolute sham. They're a disgrace, and it's all through the legal aid. And we sit here, and you see it on my tweets about these court stories that I report. Legal aid, and look at the size of the bill. They're creaming it in. I think Ireland's top lawyer or solicitor, whatever, gets about 1.5 million, at least 2 million, just from the legal aid.
Fucking hell.
Just from legal aid cases. That's not like, the ones that he
Look,
takes in, like, outside
there's
of that.
look there's everybody has to accept there's circles in life and there's clubs in life, and the legal club is a very small community. It's a very closed community, and like
Mm,
the deals are done before you ever even get near the courtroom, or they attempt to do the
yeah.
the deals. I've been in court 3 times in my life. Once was a minor traffic offence. The other 2 was actually applying for alcohol licenses. But I had to sit there for days, not days, but hours and hours and hours and hours, waiting for my
Mm,
thing to be called. Where you stand up and go,
mm,
yeah. The amount of degenerates that went
mm.
through in that amount of time is exactly what you said. It was, but like 17 previous convictions. Oh, I'll give him one more chance. I don't want to see you back here,
That's our bread
Johnny.
and butter. Mm,
Did. It's it's mental. But this has been going on for like it must be 25. It's more than that. It's nearly 30 years, I'd say, since I was in for the traffic offences. And went and sat and watched that. And this was happening then as well. You'd have 30 people before you. There, it's literally 2 or 3 mentions, and it's just, yeah, fine, yeah, gone, next. If everything is so broken, your legal system is broken, your health system is broken, your government system is broken, are we at nothing trying to redeem it and fix it? Should we not just all get off the train, exit?
You mean down tools, like a national strike type thing, or?
Just live outside the system. Just go, nah, don't need you, don't want you, gonna do my own thing. Don't like
Well, that's
what
become more popular in recent years, hasn't it? Like off grid kind of living that way, your
yeah,
own
well,
farm, your own food, your own
that
generators.
yeah, that to a small extent, that's taking it all the
Mm,
way. But
mm.
what do you actually use the state for? What bearing does the state actually have in your bar stealing 40 to 50% of your income? What what does
Yeah,
the state do can you give me 3 benefits of the state off the top of your head? Current Irish government, 3 benefits.
well, I did get some assistance with getting the house, all right. I done the help to buy. I'll be perfectly honest with that. Now we did save up a lot as well, and it was fucking hard. To get my language, really, really hard. Jeez, I nearly ended up brave to get this house. Yeah, like trying to think of what to do. Like I'm quite lucky with my job. I get to work from home, and the days that I do go in, okay, I do use public transport like the Lewis, but even that's just an absolute bloody
Eh,
nightmare.
no, you pay for
Um,
that. That's not that's
it's
like
as private. It's not. That's not as private as well, isn't it? Even it's or is
you're
it government funded?
you're paying money to use it.
We're paying for that. Yeah, true, true.
You don't have
Yeah.
a free
Uh,
you don't have a free travel pass or card or anything like that, or
no, I don't. No, no, I don't have a medical card.
yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, I don't
you're
get anything pretty much.
yeah, you're entering
So
into a commercial agreement with this company. You know what I mean? So that's not
mm,
any kind of aid or benefit or anything like that. The state does nothing
no,
for you. Like
then
I said,
yeah,
it takes 40 to 50% of your income and gives
yeah,
it
and in
to
the minute, like if I had the misfortune of being made redundant, they shame you almost instantly, like for taking what you've already put into the kid. Why haven't you got a job? Like they breathe down your neck straight away, like and make you feel so
no,
worthless. You know.
we would have spoke before
Mm,
quite a lot when your legal stuff started, and
yeah.
I had work things and stuff like that, and we had conversations about that, and
Mm,
we've talked about
yeah.
legal stuff before and supports and this that, and the other, but
Mm.
the reality is I've no problem with claiming stamps or whatever you call it, unemployment.
No, I
I've
don't either. Nobody should either. If
I've
you put your money
I've
into the kitty, you're entitled to it back.
I paid into that for youngs for
Yeah,
years
you're entitled to it.
30 odd years. Um,
Mm,
so it's a case of if you do fall in, not I won't say hard times, if your employer gets rid of you because they think you're the big bad
mm.
far right, as happened to me,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
then yeah,
yeah.
you have to put yourself in a position
Mm,
to support yourself and keep your kids who weren't
that's
adults
it.
at the
Yeah.
time fed.
Mm,
Um, but now I've taken myself out of the system. I'm
mm.
they don't even know where I live because the
Really?
address,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
the address where all of my documentation is. I don't live there.
Mm.
So
That's
it's a
interesting.
case of I can't be contacted, I can't be summoned. I will never, I can't be brought to a courthouse. You cannot summons me. You cannot. We need to take an approach sometimes where we have to go, system. We don't actually need you, and you have no
Mm.
authority. You have no authority over me because I'm a man. I'm not a person. I'm a man, and
Mm.
it's a unique way. I know some people kind of laugh at the sovereign citizen idea and stuff like that, but you can, to a certain extent, do it and disappear.
Mm.
Even though I have a public platform, try find me.
Mm.
Even to post me,
Interesting.
even to post me a summons, or a guard to actually have to find me if they wanted me. It'd be very, very difficult.
Mm.
And that
Interesting.
is, yeah,
I
that
might do
is.
that for my next court appearance. I'll vanish. I'll go under the radar. I'll live in your house for September the 25th.
There's an interesting one about not crossing the bar, and not
Mm.
identifying as a person. Now, look, I know people won't always agree with the sovereign citizen type idea and this kind of thing, but it's a great spanner to throw in the works because there's certain things you can say that the judges have to go in and have a think about. I've seen it
Mm.
happen. I've seen a judge actually leave the court because somebody threw something at him, and the judge he rolled his eyes and just got up and left because he just didn't know
Brilliant.
what way to go, and he didn't want to. Again, it's all about setting precedent. So he just and
Mm.
the guy who said the thing just went man overboard because they speak in nautical terms. But anyway,
Jeez.
interesting little stories. You can play them at their own game, so to speak, by using
Mm.
old. I'm sure a barrister wouldn't engage in it, but if you're self-representing,
Mm.
you can
Mm.
actually you can have a bit of fun, and I know some people who've had some fun in court. Now,
Interesting.
did they win, lose, or draw? I think that one is still going on. Actually, funnily enough, that's still going on, but it's been nearly 3 years, and they've heard nothing. They've never been brought back to court. So maybe they just, these difficult cases like that, they just put them on the long finger, and it just
There's the Enoch.
disappears
They
into.
bet another Enoch Burke base. You don't know how to handle it. So yeah.
Well, Enoch, they thought they'd break him in prison, but
Mm.
it's not going to happen. Right. We've gone for an hour and 47 minutes.
Mm.
I'm going
I
to
really
do
enjoyed it,
what
I have to say.
I'm going to do. It's just a conversation. It's not an interview.
Yeah.
It's just two
Mm.
people talking. It's nice to have
Yeah.
a chat, and then people get to share the conversation or listen to the conversation, and they get to give an opinion on it if they want. They get to comment on it. They get to. It was doing them live is actually great fun sometimes because you can actually get live
Mm.
comments coming in, and you can actually
Mm.
interact with people outside it. So it
I
needs a
might
little
do
bit more
one like
going.
that maybe down the line. All right. Yeah. I just with
Yeah,
yesterday. I feel
yeah.
wiped out. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
go
yeah,
down. I'm getting myself a double Jameson. I'm gonna. Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy that.
I
Wine
actually,
now.
I literally have a bottle looking at me right up there, and I'm going for it in a
I have
second.
to.
It's right
What do
there.
you what do you drink?
Guinness is my main thing, but I'll have
Yeah. Same.
I like a chaser. I like I'll tell you what I've actually got hooked on, and I should. Have you ever had
Mm.
Tennessee honey?
Interesting. I've thought about it a lot lately. So I'm my thing at the moment is I still love the Guinness, yeah,
Yeah,
and I've got really got a sense of alcohol and getting addicted to it. Triple distilled Jameson, not exactly fine, your finest whiskey, but my mate as well has said the Black Barrel of Jameson, and it is very very nice. So I do like the Black Barrel; it's a little
yeah,
bit more pricey. The Tennessee, like
honey.
the funny one that you said, is it? Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
was
it should.
looking at it the other day.
I want to ban it. I think it needs to be made illegal. It's too dangerous.
I'd be
It is.
worried about the honey part. Is it quite
Oh, it's sticky.
sweet or?
It's the funniest thing. Do you ever make a really strong whiskey, but you put a mixer in it that was kind of too? Do you ever have
Hmm.
whiskey and Nash's red lemonade? That's
I had
actually
it with red lemonade. Yeah,
yeah
yeah, yeah. My mate
has to
used to
has
drink that with
has to
Carlos.
be
Oh,
Nash's. Yeah, but
jeez.
that'd be a very
Yeah.
sweet. It's a sweet drink. You know what I mean? You
Right.
get the tiny little burn after
I
it.
might try
The
it. Yeah.
Tennessee honey, I drink it in a shot, not a small little shot, one
Ah,
bang and
okay.
it's gone, and it has just a beautiful burn. It's subtle, but it's there, and then you
Mm.
have this kind of it's almost sticky in your mouth afterwards.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it's horrible to get in your hands. Like your hands are sticky after. Like
Oh,
if
jeez.
you
Yeah, like
spill
a
it.
syrup almost.
But no. But that. So you have a nice little burn, whiskey burn, right? Subtle. You have the sweetness, and then mouthful of stout in on top of it. It is fucking. I'm not joking. Yeah, sorry for cursing. It is absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough.
I'll tell you what, if you're down at Misha Area again, that's coming up later in the year, we'll share one of those
I see
together.
that. I saw that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
What's the date for it again? It's in around my trial date now, I think. So if I get acquitted, I might go and celebrate, or I could be commiserating either way.
I have to.
Do you know what the date is for it again?
I haven't a clue now. I'd have to go. I'd have to go.
It's in September anyway.
September. Yeah. But I'd have to look at it. Yeah, it was good. The last one was very, very good. I
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
But I drank way too much. Just fucking.
And I have to say this: the bastards, forgive me language, the bastards Gardaí, and this is why I looked absolutely awful in the photos. As you know, I was necking the Guinness, and I had a skinful of the whiskey as well. That was the Saturday night. Obviously, at my age, I just can't do hangovers. So I had like the 3-hour drive back then from, right direct across Mayo to Wicklow. And then the next morning, 7 a.m., boom, 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 for Bray Court. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was still hungover. I was absolutely wiped out, and I had an almighty hangover. And they're dragging me to court. And the photos of me, I just look so disheveled. And every single court case or court appearance since, I'm going up in suits.
Oh, I see that. I have to say, the look is good. I like the different outfits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm making the effort. Now we did as well with the main court reporter there for the Indo. I'll give him a shout out. He's a decent enough guy, but he still is the enemy. We keep on taking the piss out of him. Darren McCann. I wouldn't trust him because not him, but his editors more. So he's a nice guy. But he took a nice photo. So he said, when I am reporting about you again, he said, we'll use the nice photo. We're not going to use the hungover photo of you going forward. I got a nice photo of me and Leisha as well together as well. So, and I think one with Corey possibly as well. So they're going to use the nice one. I look clean. I have the full suit on. So that's what you do. You have to play, play them at their own game. They've got these awful photos of me at the moment. And I look rotten in them. And we've got these nice ones now. And going forward,
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, these people want to sell newspapers, right? And sell stories. And if you can, again, it's like if whatever it takes to benefit your people, if this is going to benefit you, then of course, court that relationship. It's strange bedfellows. We're all going to have to make strange bedfellows if we want to see our plans and ideas for the country come to.
He's a nice guy, but his hands are tied. I know it's editing, his piece goes onto an editor and like, no, can't say that, can't say this. Or if it's not the editor, it's the judge. And there was a case recently with a nationalist where the judge just said, no, you're not mentioning the other guy. It's all about him. And you have to smear him basically. That was the only thing that got across the line. So if that reporter wants to make some money, he has to agree to it then, because the editor said, or the judge has his hands tied, and that's what it is.
Organization that's doing the crowdfunding, give it a shout out there.
Yes, so I'll just give them all a shout. So my barrister is Leisha de Bruin, and she runs, or she's involved at least, and she's one of the main the figureheads of the Countess as well on Twitter. So you'll find her two accounts. That's Leisha de Bruin and the Countess. So that's my barrister. Highly intelligent and qualified, and she's absolutely brilliant. And she too is an activist. So if you've got any, particular political leanings towards women's rights, that's what the Countess is there for. She's been doing that for years. She's also helping out, in family courts and situations like that as well, and also taking up cases like mine that include elements of free speech, mass immigration. Brilliant. Now, Portland, she's a little bit more under the radar. That guy is absolutely brilliant, and he's such a nice guy as well. He really is. We've been chatting a lot. Kind of strike up a bit of a friendship. He's such a nice guy, but my God, that man knows his stuff. He was voted the Solicitor of the Year in 2024, and he's up for an absolute ton of awards again in around I think it's the Munster region, like the Law Firm of the Year, Solicitor of the Year. The guy is just absolutely amazing. He'll kill me for saying this. If anybody has ever watched it, Better Call Saul, he reminds me of a Irish country version of Better Call Saul. You have a conversation for 30 seconds with that guy about Irish law. He just reels them off. That guy is absolutely brilliant. Down at the field protest in Cork, somebody was banged up for a few hours, got them out. Nobody even knows all about it because him. He just went through a ton of legislation, got that woman out like that. He's brilliant. Now the crowdfunds, it's if you want to fund, it's not just mine, but Russell Hyde is involved in it, and a guy by the name of Hugh Fagan down in Wexford. He's up on hate speech charges because he walks up and down the street with a placard and that speaks out against Islam. So he's getting dragged through the courts as well. And Russell Hyde is having a nightmare with it all. So they're the three people. The crowdfund is irishfreespeech.com. I will not see a cent of this. Ross won't see a cent of this, and neither will you. And if we get more funds, we can help more people. There are other people out there like Paul Nolan as well. He should not be in court for what he's in there for. He took a video out in the street with migrants in it, basically, and they're stringing them up over it. So that's irishfreespeech.com. And that crowdfund was set up by Ezra Levant of Rebel News in Canada. And that just goes to show you how closed in our media apparatus is, that we have to rely on somebody on the other side of the planet to come over here to get these stories out there on a global scale. I tried to do it with Newtown Mount Kennedy, and look what happened to me. I never having to rely on Ezra. It's crazy.
It is a crazy world. I always like to finish on a positive. I think that that is a positive. I think that is a fantastic idea. It doesn't matter where the help comes from, as long as there's help there and the stories get outside of our own mainstream media. We're hitting 2 hours. I'll keep going, but yeah. I'm conscious of.
I'm not going to. We'll go off and have our whiskey. We deserve it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I always, time is a commodity, and you've actually given me 2 hours of your time, so I really appreciate it. It's a fantastic conversation. Talking is lovely. I wish people would do more of it. I wish more people would come on and have conversations like this and just throw ideas around. There's no right and wrong. There's no right and wrong. It's like assholes, opinions. Everybody's got one. You're entitled to it.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Mr. Kirk, Loco, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to drop you down into what we call the green room. You can stay on or jump off. It's up to you. There's a little outro that plays, and if you want to stay on for a chat afterwards.
I just want to say thank you very much. I'm now going to get me whiskey. I don't mean to be rude. I'll drop you an audio in a little bit after whiskey. That's all right.
No, 100%. Enjoy it. And again, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Martin. I genuinely really appreciate it because I want my story to get out there. It isn't just about me. And if anybody genuinely thinks that they're going to stop with me, you are sorely mistaken. I'm just the first one that they're getting started with.
Good stuff. Thank you, Kirk.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Another one in the bag. That was a fantastic conversation. That's why I love doing this. It's not a show. It's not an interview. It's just two human beings shooting the breeze and talking about everything and their opinions and stuff like that. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you in the next one.